Why? Why would they do that? Why would that be something that they would add? Alright, gotta floof the hair to get me through this. Hey friends, my name's Gabrielle and welcome to FrumiousReads, and if somehow you missed it in the title and in the description, then this is my spoilers included, review of Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald. If you want to see a review that does not have any spoilers in it, then check out the links or the card up here, and you can check out my spoiler-free review of the movie overall. Alright, let's get into this. Oh boy, where do I start? Where do I start? Before I say anything else, I will say that I am of the opinion that I can enjoy something while also finding all the many flaws in it. So, if I had to give this movie a review, it would be a 3 out of 5 stars purely for entertainment value and just taking it as a movie that I can consume any day and not think about. However, if I am critiquing it as a Harry Potter fan, I would give it a 2 out of 5 because what happened? It was a beautiful smoke and mirrors illusion until you start to analyze it, until you start to really see what's going on. So I'm starting with the negatives first so I can try and end on the positives. So first things first, Nagini. Nagini was causing a huge uproar in the fandom before the movie came out with the whole realization that she is an Asian woman who is turned into a snake and then eventually becomes Voldemort's pet. So yeah, a lot of people had a problem with it. I can see why. Going into the movie, I didn't say anything about it. I didn't want to make a video about it because I really wanted to just keep an open mind. I didn't want my opinion to be confirmed before I've seen the movie. However, after seeing the movie, I am so angry because it was absolutely useless to have her in this movie. There was no point. She had 3 lines the entire movie. That is it. 3 lines, I think. I tried to keep track, but there was many things happening. 3 lines the entire movie. There was absolutely no point of her being there. There is no point to include her in this movie originally. She has no impact on the plot other than to being arm candy for Credence or Clarence or whatever his name is. Credence, I think? Okay, let's make that maybe a little bit more coherent. Basically, her portion, she is introduced as a snake, the snake woman in the circus, and Credence is somehow also in the circus. It's never explained how he got to the circus. Credence goes into the circus and they fall in love, and he breaks her out on the same night that Tina goes in and finds him. So it was really good timing all around on that. They're an item, or they're in love, or that he has a crush on her, and he is also looking for information about his mother, and somehow that led him to the circus to meet Nagini. She was kind of portrayed as like, no, she's not a love interest, she's going to be helping him, guide him on his journey, which is an absolute lie. She is most definitely a love interest in this movie. Like, it's never outright said, but you can tell that's kind of where they're leading with that. There was no purpose. She had no plot relevance. She didn't add anything to the movie other than the fact that her name is Nagini, and apparently she's the snake that Voldemort had, and they introduced the Maledictus curse, which unless that comes back, and maybe it will, unless that comes back later on in the movie series, there was no purpose of her being there. She had absolutely no purpose. She was literally arm candy the entire movie, and it bothered me so much because why make a big deal about introducing Nagini? And Nagini, out of all people, even in the book, she has like maybe 15 pages dedicated to her, and it's just that she's a giant snake and she eats people. Like, out of all the characters you could have added a really cool backstory for, you choose the one that is the most useless. That is, I was so upset about that. And not even like upset, angry upset, but more upset like, oh god, come on. I was rooting for you. I was rooting for you to like be useful and like to have a purpose here. And instead it just feels like you were written in as some kind of semi-love character with no plot, and just, I can go on about just Nagini the whole time. Okay, now that I've gotten my Nagini rant out of the way, I think another negative I had was there were so many plots happening. I loved Lita. I thought that she was fantastic. I think that Zoe Kravitz did an amazing job playing her. Wish we could see more of her, but I feel like we won't unless it's just in flashback form. She was dynamic. She was one of my favorite parts in the entire movie. But other than her introduction, and like her using her as a flashback, it didn't feel like she really helped. Like there wasn't a point of her being there. And unfortunately, with how this movie ended, she's not gonna be in the future movie. So she was just literally like a 1 movie deal, and they introduce this amazing character, and then they don't do anything with her after this movie. And I would have loved to see more of Lita and the Lestranges and learning about their family, since it's one that we're familiar with, than having Nagini have screen time when there's no point to Nagini having screen time. At least in this movie. If you're gonna do something cool with Nagini and have her be relevant to the plot, at least like give her more than 3 lines and maybe push her to the next movie and have more of Lita in this one. Because I feel like she could have taken Nagini's place and somehow been the one trying to guide Credence, maybe thinking that he is somehow long lost related to her, but instead they give it to someone who really has, and then you're left with these two amazing female characters, or the potential to be amazing female characters, and neither of them are utilized the way that they could be. So I guess Leta Lestrange, I really loved her, but it also felt like she was one of those characters who had no real purpose in being there. A lot of characters were like that though. There was this whole subplot with someone who was trying to take revenge on the Lestrange family, and that's how they find out that Credence isn't actually the guy he's trying to take revenge on. And I don't know why he was there. He also was someone I'm like, who are you? Who are you and why are you here and what is your purpose? I don't know what was going on with Queenie this one. She is another one whose characterization and just I really enjoyed her presence on screen. However, her characterization was so off. So when we first see Queenie has Joseph under a love spell, like kind of how Tom Riddle's mom had Tom Riddle Sr. under a love spell. Basically was trying to force a marriage happening. And I was like, I didn't see any kind of hints of this type of Queenie actions from the Queenie that we were introduced to. So I don't know why they led with that, but her whole thing was she wanted to get married, and so she put him under a love spell to force him to marry her. And I was like, I don't get why that's a common theme here. I don't understand why you made her character do that, because that doesn't seem like a very Queenie thing to do. I really did love her in the entire movie though, because she provided a really interesting kind of development where you see her really railing against the wizarding ministry and how the laws are in place and she doesn't agree with them, and it really leads up to her eventually being on Grindelwald's side. And I just feel like that's going to be an amazing ally for him to have, and it has real potential in the future for a showdown between Queenie and Tina on opposite sides. And I know that was something that fans were talking about, was Queenie turning over to Grindelwald's side, how she would be a really powerful witch for him to have on his side. And I'm really excited to see what they do with her in the future. Now, last but not least, Credence. Now, Credence we were familiar with. I feel like he had so much potential, but he was a forgotten subplot that they never really addressed fully. And he didn't really have many lines in the first movie either, so that's kind of in character for him. But when he was on screen, it was a very lacking presence. But it takes away from the movie in general, because it's you hear the same lines repeated over and over again. I want to know who I am. I just want to know my history. I want to know who I am. It's okay, we get it. We know you want to know who you are. Maybe you can have another line other than that. And then, oh my god, the big reveal at the end is useless. I don't understand. So this whole time, they're building and building and building. Who is Credence? Who is Credence? Who is Credence? He turns out to be someone that comes out of nowhere. He turns out to be Aurelius Dumbledore, related to Albus Dumbledore, another sibling. And here's why I hate that. Here is absolutely why that frustrates me so much. That was probably the worst part of the film for me, is that reveal, and of course that's how it ended. Because there is no precedence for that. In the books, in the original canon books, it is Albus, it is Ariana, and it is Aberforth. Now, unless Credence somehow turns out to be Aberforth, so we have those as the 3 Dumbledore siblings that are established in canon. What is the point in making Credence a Dumbledore? None. There is no point to it. It's just, you could have, why? Why would they do that? Why would that be something that they would add? I'm really angry at this. My voice keeps cracking. I'm so upset. There is no point in the canon 7 books, in the canon Harry Potter series, in the original 7, where they mention that there is another Dumbledore sibling, because they don't have to. Albus, when we are introduced to Grindelwald and the war between Grindelwald and Albus, it is that Albus was Grindelwald's enemy. He was the one who was most feared. But he could not attack Grindelwald until circumstances were very dire. And then him and Grindelwald battled, and that's when Albus got the Elder Wand. There is a plot with Albus and Grindelwald in this movie that I love, and it is it explains why Albus couldn't move on Dumbledore for the longest time. So I feel like if they had just stuck, and instead of just making up stuff, if they had stuck with the original, how it was introduced to us in the original 7 canon books, it would be so much better. Why would you make up a brother that doesn't exist before this movie. Why would you make up a brother when there already is a brother who has participated in a battle between Dumbledore and Grindelwald and has something to do with Ariana's death? Because for those of you who somehow don't know this, Albus Dumbledore had a younger sister named Ariana who apparently was an Obscurial, which that part I like. However, she dies in a confrontation between Albus Grindelwald and Albus's younger brother Aberforth, who we are not really introduced to, and we don't know who he is until the 7th book. So if we already know this, if we already know that Aberforth has a grudge against Grindelwald, if we know that Aberforth went against Dumbledore and he despises Albus because Albus got his sister killed in their cause, then why on earth would you create a character that has no precedence before this universe? If that is what you were going to do with Credence, why have him in the movie? It would have made so much more sense to me. If you're going down this road where somehow Credence ends up being Grindelwald's downfall, then you're changing the entire canon that's already in place. Because that's not what happened. It's already been said. That is not what happened. So instead of introducing a whole other brother that nobody knows about, that is just created for this movie, why wouldn't you just have the brother that's already mentioned and give him more of a story? Let us know more about Aberforth. Was he against Albus in the war? Was he immediately against Grindelwald? Did he have something to do with the final battle? Did he go and attack Grindelwald for killing his younger sister or for being part of the reason that she was dead? These are all questions that would be much more interesting than suddenly having another Dumbledore in the world. There's no point to that. Unless everyone somehow got their memory obliviated after this war and they forgot about Aurelius and that's why nobody else in the Harry Potter verse later on knows about him, then there is no point in having this character. Absolutely no point. Also, okay, so here's another thing that I had a problem with, was the fact that, okay, let's say that in this movie, they say that Albus Dumbledore couldn't act on Grindelwald because they had taken some kind of blood oath not to hurt each other. But then how does that explain the battle where they were all dueling, Albus and Grindelwald and Aberforth, where they were all dueling, and obviously they were dueling to kill because Ariana died. In the books, it says Ariana was hit with a stray spell, she was trying to help, she got in the middle, and she died. Now, unless they somehow spin that to be like Ariana blew herself up when she tried to help and was an Obscurial, then I don't know how that's going to, I don't know how the blood bond thing that they did really plays into that. What they're doing with the Grindelwald and Dumbledore conflict, they're adding things that I feel like they didn't need to. I understand this is going to be the plot of the movies, but it's just, it doesn't make sense for this to be the plot when it so goes against everything already established in the Harry Potter universe. So that is my 20-minute rant so far on why I did not like the movie. At this point, I'm like, screw the Harry Potter canon. Apparently this isn't going to apply to that at all. So now that I've gotten all the things I did not like about this movie out of the way, let's talk about what I did enjoy. There is so much more magic in this movie. There is so many more advanced spells and so much more of the wizarding universe that we get to see that is really just so much fun to watch. And I kind of pointed this out in my spoiler-free review. In the original Harry Potter books, we are introduced to a set of school children. So really, we're only limited in the amount of the wizarding worlds that they see, and in the spells that they know because they are so young. And even though they're learning, it's like we still don't get to see the really, really advanced magic that all the adults in that universe and the older people in that universe seem capable of. So starting off in this movie where we're introduced to very capable adult witches and wizards, we get to see so much more advanced magic, and it just looks really cool on screen. The CGI is absolutely fantastic. I loved just seeing all of the battles and how grown up it felt. Like I said, Queenie in this movie was amazing. Other than the issues with her initial characterization, I really enjoyed seeing kind of her journey and how she came to her final conclusion. And it really was heartbreaking to watch because you can see she is just so tortured. This is what she sees. This is the way she can accomplish what she wants. And so she ends up siding with Grindelwald. So I really, really enjoyed seeing that all together. Like I said earlier, Leta Lestrange was a fantastic character. I think that I would have loved to see more of her. I loved that she was Slytherin. I love that the wizarding world was against her because of her name. And she really had the potential to just be a fantastic Slytherin representation determination, and she was just so amazing and so competent and so skilled. I think she was one of my favorite new characters that they actually introduced. Everything was Grindelwald, and I know there was some controversy with Johnny Depp, and I'm not ignoring that here, but I will say that Grindelwald's storyline and Albus's storyline, other than the reveal at the end that I just got done talking about, some like minor kind of spacing issues, I really enjoyed watching those parts of the story, because Grindelwald, you can see how he appeals to the witches and wizards of the imagining world, and he uses human developments. He uses like the things that happened in the First War and all the technology developed and the atomic bomb and like just all the weapons available, and how that could really turn against the witches and wizards, and really how magic may not be able to stop that and not always necessarily. It makes you understand his perspective. However, it doesn't excuse him of the actions that he takes. So overall, he's a really great villain. I feel like I'm really loving the vibe from him. And I thought it was really cool they got the original actor who played young Grindelwald. They got him to come back and play him in the flashback scenes. So I would love to see more of that actor. I think that'll be really cool to have that continuation. And I don't know if I've said this, but Jude Law as Albus Dumbledore is amazing. He is such a fantastic actor. I love what he's doing with Dumbledore. I love the hidden McGonagall feature we got. That was really cool. And some people were wondering like, okay, it's Crimes of Grindelwald, but this is still Fantastic Beasts. What are the creatures that we will see in this movie? We do get introduced to many more creatures, and we get to see the ones that we love. Some that come back in a big way towards the very end. So I love seeing all the magical creatures, like both familiar and unfamiliar. So I thought that they did that very well, and the CGI is once again fantastic on those. So yeah, so honestly, I know that the beginning was a little ranty, a little loud, a little all over the place, but I really did enjoy this movie. But having gone on my rant and told everything that I really enjoyed and things that I had problems with in this movie, I would love to know what you think in the comments down below. So if you have watched this movie and you'd want to talk about it, then please comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, especially on all the points that I hit. I really cannot wait for the next movie to come out. That's all I have for you guys today. If you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I upload bookish videos twice a week, as well as reaction videos whenever something cool comes out that I want to react to. Go ahead if you want to follow me on my other social media links. They will be linked in the description down below. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.